Broadcasting live across the southern plains from the Tornado Bunker in the McRoof World Headquarters, the McRoof Radio Network brings you home repair, McRoof style. I'm Rick Allen Lippert here with restoration specialist and Hall of Fame remodeler Scott McCullum. Good morning, Scott.
Good morning, sir. How are you?
I'm happy to be here.
Yes, sir.
Retro Radio Randy is the wizard on the other side of the curtain who will answer your call to 405-656-5868. Good morning, Randy.
Good morning. Happy Saturday.
Thank you. It is. Oh, what a gloriously miserable day it is out there.
Well, I tell you what, at least it's not colder than the proverbial well diggers, So anyway.
Yeah. So we'll start the show in a moment with our trivia question and have the tool of the week. And as always, we're taking your home repair questions. That number again is 405-656-5868. In the second half of the show, we'll have our What Were They Thinking segment. Scott, what's the title of this week's horror story?
Well, dadgummit, Myrtle, I told you to read the thing before you stuck it in the desk drawer. Wonder what that's about.
That old Myrtle.
Find out the hard way.
Then in the third half of the show, we'll have our After the Storm tip, and we'll wrap up with some very wise words from Scott's dad. And coming back from breaks, we'll have some very obscure historical trivia. Boy, do I have some obscure trivia for you today.
Do you have Beatles today?
I have a double dose of Beatles.
Okay, all right.
The McRoof Radio Network includes KOKC in Oklahoma City, KNSS in Wichita, KPNS in Lawton, KAKC in Tulsa, and now KALV in Alva.
All right.
Wherever you are in the Southern Plains, you can call us at 405-656-5868. And as we were talking about the weather, at least it is not in the teens.
We're actually roofing today.
Are you really?
Well, we had a tough week, so
Sure.
Couldn't get a lot done. We
Right.
did some repairs, some things that had to be done, but we're actually roofing today. So this is one of the few days I can look on the calendar and know we can do an asphalt shingle roof. So there are a few roofs out there, real estate transactions, people that have active leaks, that kind of thing, that their roofs really do need to be done.
Right.
So we get those done. So I've got the thumbs up there. That's a good sign.
That is. We're live all over the Southern Plains.
All right.
So we'll get to the tool of the week and the trivia in just a minute.
Okay.
But there's a question I've been meaning to ask you for over a month.
Spit it out.
Christmas lights on roofs.
Yeah.
All right. Roof RX does inspection, repair, and maintenance.
Yeah.
So has Roof RX received calls from about damage caused by all the Christmas light folks who climb up on roofs?
No, we really haven't.
Okay.
I think that there's a possibility that someone's on a roof. A lot of the guys that do that kind of thing, there are a lot of roofers that install Christmas lights. Okay, so I think they'd probably be taking care of that themselves.
Sure. Right.
There are a lot of landscape companies that do that during the Christmas season, and they might say something. We do get occasional calls from somebody that one of the light installers who we know, who has used us for a number of years, has told them, hey, you might want to give them a call. But I don't recall, Carly sees all of those things coming in day to day now.
Right.
I don't see them the way I used to, so it's possible. I'll ask her that question for you.
I wondered because, in my neighborhood, the day after Halloween,
the
Christmas lights
everybody in
started
the
going
world's
up.
out there putting Christmas lights up.
And a lot of landscaping crews going through and doing that, and now they're back taking them down, and so I just wonder when I see all these non-roofing people up on roofs, are they causing any damage?
I'll tell you what, with the asphalt in particular, asphalt shingles as cold as they are right now, those little clips on those lights are going to come off real easy because I guarantee you those shingles have shrunk up.
All right, well, let's get to the trivia question then.
All
right, Scott.
So the ancient Chinese used blank roofing tiles as far back as 3000 BC.
And you were looking for a material.
A type of material, yes. The ancient Chinese used what type of roofing tiles as far back as 3000 BC, and that's basically where we trace back the history of modern roofing.
Okay.
So, okay,
All right.
3000 BC. That's
All
where
right.
we start with the history of roofing.
The
So,
history of roofing.
okay.
They also gave us spaghetti.
They gave us a lot of things that people don't know they gave us.
If you think you know what the ancient Chinese used in their roofing tiles, give us a call at 405-656-5868. So the tool of the week. Now, this is one that you selected this week.
I wonder why I did that.
So go ahead and tell us about this.
Oh, come on, Rick. I sent it to you.
Well, you did.
All I remember was it was a DeWalt 60,000 BTU propane heater.
Yeah, this thing looks kind of like a cannon.
Yeah, looks kind of like a cannon.
Yeah.
Looks kind of like a cannon.
I found it, and I found it online. I even found it at the big box store that is primarily blue is their color. They listed at 68,000 BTU.
Okay.
But I think it's the one you're talking about. It's about $180.
There you go. The one I saw at the different color box store was $194. So that's we're talking about the same thing.
All right.
Yep.
And it has a built-in propane tank.
Yep.
And you just, I mean, I've seen them. It says it's an outdoor heater, but I've seen them used in garages.
Well, I tell you, in my old trim carpentry days and residential construction where I was physically doing the work.
Right.
We probably used some things indoors that were not designed to be used indoors.
Yeah,
so I'll plead guilty on that one.
Same here. Hey, I think we have someone taking a shot at the trivia question.
All right.
I think this is Larry. Larry, are you calling from the Wichita area?
I am, yes.
Well, good. Hey,
Larry, how cold is it in Wichita this morning? Pretty cold still, or are you warming up?
No, it's nice. It's about 50 degrees. Sun's not out, which is disappointing.
Yeah.
So, Larry, what's your best guess at what the ancient Chinese used for roofing tiles?
Well, this is probably wrong, but I'm going to guess slate, maybe.
Man, I tell you what, ding, no, that is wrong. I started to go ding, ding, ding. There you go. Thank you, Randy. Thanks for getting me right on the sound effects. Larry, that's not the answer we're looking for. Slate came along just a little bit later. Okay.
All right.
You're probably, I don't know, 2 or 3 millennia ahead of yourself. Okay. So appreciate the phone call, Larry. Thanks for listening.
All
Thank
right.
you.
So we still have the question hanging out there. What is the material of roofing tiles?
That really was a good guess.
Yeah, I would have thought,
that really was a good guess.
The ancient Chinese used what material for roofing tiles as far back as 3000 BC? That's a long time ago.
Yeah, and literally about 3,000 years later, I believe from my research, that's about the time we started seeing the slate.
Okay. But we're talking about 5,000 years ago.
Yeah, a little while ago, right?
Yeah. Okay. So, well, let me. I know Randy's taking a call right now. We'll get it on the air as soon as he sends it to me. But a quick update on what's going on at Carpenter Square Theater, because not a whole lot. But we did install, actually affixed to the floor, the back row of seats.
Okay, that's pretty exciting.
These are seats that we bought from the Oklahoma City Museum of Art a couple of years ago when they started their remodeling of their theater. They're really nice seats. They're really comfortable. And now the back row is affixed to the floor. We will be installing them from the back to the front because we're putting a drink rail at every row. And so we don't want to have to lift these steel tubing drink rails up over seats that are already affixed.
Okay, so I got to ask you. So you get that back row of seating in there.
Yeah.
And everybody's kind of cleaned up and gone for the day. Did Rick go and just plop his little rear end down there and just kind of sit and look around and think about, man, how far we have come?
There are 15 seats on this row,
okay,
and I have sat in probably 10 of those seats. And yes, I have just sat and looked and marveled,
contemplated your navel.
Yeah, more or less. I'm telling you, there will not be a bad seat in that house.
That's great. That's great.
And plenty of leg room.
So what's the the optimistic forecast for an opening night? What are you looking at?
Well, no particular date, but I'm hoping for the by the end of March.
Okay, I was thinking maybe March sometime would be.
Yeah,
okay.
I have electricians returning on Monday, and that will if all they do is hook up the warehouse furnace back in the shop, that'll be a big deal because we haven't had any heat in the whole back part of the building.
Yeah, but you've got heat in other parts, so it's not like it's totally
heat in the offices up front.
Right.
1,000 square feet of a 12,000 square foot building.
Oh yeah, so you don't have much heat, do you?
No,
we sure don't want to have any broken water lines or anything like that before you get to the finish line.
We sure don't.
So.
Hey, we have Adam on the line, and Adam, do you want to take a shot at the trivia question?
Yeah, I'm probably wrong, but I've got a guess for you.
Okay, so what material do you think the Chinese used in their roofing materials 5,000 years ago?
Terracotta.
Okay, Rick, you got to help me out here.
I'm going to say
that I'm going to say he's right.
Yeah, I will too.
I'm going to say he's right. So we were looking for clay, but I'm gonna take that terracotta as being what we were looking for. So great job. Where are you calling from?
Winfield, Kansas.
Winfield, Kansas. Well, we sure appreciate all our Kansas listeners and Kansas callers. We've got a couple of books for you to choose from. If you'd like to have a book out of my library, I've got Raving Fans, which is how we try to build our business. We've got another book called The Coaching Habit. If you've got anybody you're trying to mentor, somebody you're trying to help along without giving them the answers or trying to answer all of their problems, this is a great book to help them solve their own issues and problems. And then I've got another book back there called, I'm not gonna tell you. Let's just leave it with the Raving Fans or the Coaching Habit. Would you like one of those?
Yeah, I'd take the Coaching Habit book.
Coaching Habit?
All
okay.
Right. So Adam, I'm going to send you back to Randy now, and he'll get your address and everything, and then look for the book in the mail.
Before you send Adam away, maybe he has some kind of project around the place that he's working on, or has a question, or has a tip for somebody.
Oh, well, I can't think of anything right off the top of my head. We just bought a new house, and I've got so many ongoing projects, I couldn't keep them straight right now.
I was going to say, isn't it amazing how you buy a new house and you've got all these projects and things to do? But yeah, they're always there. Well, Adam, we really appreciate the phone call, and thanks for listening as always, and we hope to hear from you again soon, okay?
Thank you, guys.
All right, Adam, I'm sending you back to Randy. I have heard that the average homeowner will spend $7,000 after they bought a new house.
Now, is that things like window treatments, garage organization?
I don't know any. I don't think it's that kind of stuff. I think it's additional repairs and modifications.
Really?
Yeah. That's my understanding.
Okay.
Is that on average?
I'd like to know what that is. I'd like to know because if somebody spends $200,000 for a new home,
right?
And on average they're going to spend that $7,000. I don't know. Is that adding a security system? Is it what is that?
I don't know. We'll talk more about that when we come back. It's time for us to take a break. I want to remind you that you're listening to Home Repair McRoof Style on the McRoof Radio Network. I'm Rick Allen Lippert. He's restoration specialist and Hall of Fame remodeler Scott McCullum. Retro Radio Randy answering the phones today. We'll be back in a flash taking your calls. 405-656-5868. When we come back, we'll talk more about what people spend on, and maybe you can call and tell us, what did you have to fix on the new home that you bought?
Yeah, exactly. That'd be great.
This is the McRoof Radio Network.
Scott McCollum here for my good folks Brad at Brad's Heating and Air Conditioning. Folks, Brad has done a great job serving the greater metro for almost 40 years. They install and service all brands of heating and air conditioning equipment. They're a certified American Standard dealer. They've enjoyed great reviews from their customers and from our listeners who we've referred to them over the years. Great responses on the services that they've provided. You need to get that furnace checked up. If it didn't do you too good this last few days, it's not too late to get Brad and his team out there. Do that air quality check. Make sure you don't have any issues with carbon monoxide or any burner issues. Give them a call at 405-799-7823. That's 405-799-7823. Or go to bradsheatandair.com. Tell them McRoof sent you.
Hey, Scott, I have folks tell me all the time that they can't find anybody out there to inspect their roof or to just fix a leak. You started Roof RX to remedy that issue, didn't you?
Well, I did. Roofers are in the business to replace roofs. They're not in the business to inspect, repair, or maintain them.
So what's so different about Roof RX then?
Well, Roof RX is a standalone company totally separate from McRoof. The inspectors are trained professionals armed with knowledge and technology. They are not roofing salespeople. Our repairs are guaranteed for life, and we offer a money-back guarantee.
Wow, that sounds great, but I'll bet you're booked up for months out.
No, sir, we're generally no more than a week or so out, and of course we get on emergencies a whole lot faster than that. Get on our list by calling Carly at 405-877-ROOF. or online at roof-rx.com.
Homer Stacy was a wholesome, good American kid from Texas. At the age of 18, he enlisted in the United States Army and was stationed at Fort Bliss, Texas. Homer was fascinated with aircraft, so he went to flight school and became an Army Air Corps pilot. Homer Stacy was the pilot of a Convair B-24 Liberator, the Yankee Doodle Dandy. November 11, 1943, Homer and his crew, along with 31 other bombers, flew a mission to destroy a ball bearing plant in occupied France. On the return trip, a mechanical failure caused the plane to drop out of formation, leaving the Yankee Doodle Dandy vulnerable, and shortly thereafter, 7 German Me-109 shot the plane down near Andano, Italy. 4 crew members were killed on board. The others parachuted. 1 was captured and taken prisoner. Homer was among the remaining 5 who made it to Switzerland and returned to duty. Homer Stacy survived World War II, the Korean War, and retired after 21 years of service with numerous awards and citations, not to mention the Purple Heart. Homer Stacy. Homer Stacy McCullum. Scott McCullum's dad. Scott McCullum is McRoof. McRoof is owned and operated by the McCullum family, an honorable, trustworthy red, white, and blue family. If you want to improve or repair your property, call 855-766-3405. Ask for a no-cost roof assessment and home inspection. That's McRoof, 855-766-3405. That's McRoof. And Home Repair McRoof Style back on the air for the second half of the show. I'm Rick Allen Lippert. We're in studio live with restoration specialist and Hall of Fame remodeler Scott McCullum, Retro Radio Randy answering the phones when you call 405-656-5868. Hey, on this date in 1675, I think it's safe to say that McRoof as a whole is pro-business, wouldn't you say?
I would say so, absolutely.
On this date in 1675 was the first American commercial corporation was chartered. It was called the New York Fishing Company.
Wow.
1675. On this date in 1790, the first U.S. president, okay, you know, it's George Washington, delivered the first State of the Union address. I'm a big fan of George Washington. Then on this date in 1902, this is the really obscure stuff. A New York State Assemblyman, Francis G. Landon, got a bill passed that criminalized men turning around on the street and, quote, looking at women in that way.
And they knew what that meant in order to pass that legislation.
I guess so.
They knew what looking in that way meant. Oh my gosh, that's funny. I got a question for you. Who chartered the New York Fishing Company in 1675? That's what I want to know. Who would have issued that charter?
That's a good question.
That is a good question.
I don't have any idea. I don't have any
maybe
idea.
one of our OU profs who's listening to us
maybe.
this morning, give us a call and tell us how that all works.
Yeah.
So,
hey, I'd like to remind all of you listeners out there that you can hear our show on either the iHeartRadio app by finding KOKC or KAKC, and also on the Odyssey app by going to KNSS. And in Alva, you can also listen to us on the KALV website. So there you go. And if you're in Lawton, good luck.
I thought you had these iHeart Media and all these high-tech ways of people doing this.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah,
okay.
the iHeartRadio app.
So it is the iHeart app.
Yeah,
okay.
It's the iHeartRadio
I
app.
got you.
We're also live streaming on Facebook. We have a McRoof Radio Network Facebook, not Facebook, YouTube. I've switched it over to YouTube, McRoof Radio Network YouTube. If you can find us, go ahead and subscribe. I've pretty much figured out how to do it.
After how many years, Rick?
Well, I've only started doing the YouTube in the last few weeks, and and I'm using different stuff, and so it's a whole different learning curve.
That's funny. So you were talking about this $7,000 on average that people spend after they buy a new house,
right?
And I'm thinking of things, I guess I'm thinking more of first-time home buyers, and maybe that's shouldn't be thinking that, but of course they're buying lawn tools, lawn and gardening tools. They're buying.
Sure. I don't think that's
not what it
$7,000 is about that.
Okay.
For instance, we have a daughter and son-in-law who they just bought a house in our neighborhood.
Okay.
And just like they did when they bought the house out in Piedmont, out in rural Oklahoma, they started knocking out walls.
Okay.
And so they sort of remodeled the place. In the case of the Piedmont house, they raised a ceiling from 8 to 10 feet.
Okay.
And took out some walls.
So it's more actual home projects. So
right.
I could see something like somebody puts a new front door on. They want to
something like that.
They don't like the way the front entry
exactly.
looks, and they're going to dress the front entry up. Or somebody does some hardwood floors, or
exactly
things like that.
That's the kind of thing I'm talking about.
You.
Yeah.
Okay.
In fact, they're doing that same kind of thing on this house in our neighborhood now, where they're expanding the kitchen so as to not have a defined kitchen that has 4 walls on it. It's sort of more of the open floor plan. So when you walk in the living room, you kind of see into the kitchen there.
Yeah, I remember back in the day as a home builder,
right?
And these were expensive, kind of luxury custom homes.
Right.
Had a customer that bought a house, and they were buying the house, and part of the negotiation was that they wanted to completely repaint the house.
Okay.
Okay.
Right.
But I'm telling you that they wanted to repaint the house in such horrible colors that I would not do that before closing.
Right.
Okay. So basically we took and we escrowed some funds and we set it aside.
Right.
They closed. Then we did
right.
the repainting.
Right.
It had to do with purple and orange.
And
yeah. So, and I was not about to have a spec house on the market that they walked away from, and I've got a purple and orange house I have to paint for the 3rd time.
Exactly.
So I was a little smarter than that. So
well,
anyway,
in my own case, I was buying a house from a guy who lived down the street from the house I was buying, and he had remodeled it and gutted a lot of things and put a bunch of new stuff in, but he hadn't updated the HVAC system.
Mm-hmm.
And because he owned the bank that was going to float the loan, I didn't have to have an inspection. That was a red flag for a number of reasons. But I did pay to have my own HVAC guy come out
right.
and inspect the 2 systems. One was older than the other one. there was an original one that went back to 1966. This is the air conditioner, and then the newer one, and all he could say was, "Well, Rick, all I can tell you is they're working today."
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
we moved in, and 2 weeks later, the newer of the two ACs
Went out.
Yeah.
Isn't that funny?
And because everything was so old and they shared a plenum and everything, I had to replace both systems. and so within the first month of buying this house, I got to.
Now, you had certainly contemplated that in your purchase price, right? No. You know, and that's the thing. You know, we talk about a lot. You know, we've got our Oklahoma home inspectors that are out there. They're doing the best they can do. You know, a lot of times people get, I tell folks, don't fall in love with something until you know what it really is.
Right.
Okay. Get that inspection in hand and spend some time going through it. If you don't understand what it says or what it means, you know, bring in some professional contractors,
Yeah.
you know, to evaluate particularly major systems. You talk about your structure, your foundation, your framing structure, talk about your heating, electrical, mechanical, plumbing, and your roof.
Right.
Make sure that you know what it is. And once you've evaluated that, you've fully contemplated the ramifications of either maintenance and or replacement on down the road, that's factored into all of your financial decision making.
Yeah.
Then you're ready to go.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, there was an awful lot of emotion involved around buying this particular house, and
I understand.
yeah,
I understand.
Hey, before we get to the horror story, I want to mention that I reprogrammed my thermostat this week because my wife didn't like the idea that the main part of the house was set on 62 for overnight.
Okay.
Even though she never went out there, you know, first thing in the morning, it was always me. But
Right.
I had it come up at 6 a.m. It would come up to, but 62 was just, she just couldn't handle that number. So I reprogrammed everything.
That's almost what we sleep with ours on.
Well, I took it down to 65. I mean, I raised it to 65, but somehow I pushed another button that I guess I didn't know I had pushed and just sort of paused the whole thing. So the first morning,
nothing was running.
So the morning after I reprogrammed it, thinking I'm going to walk into a house that has, you know, warmer air, it was 59 degrees in there. And I went, so I figured out I pushed the wrong button.
Brings to mind one of my dad's sayings.
Yeah, what's that?
You've got to be smarter than the inanimate object you're working on, son.
Boy, isn't that the truth? Well, let's get scary, boys and girls.
Oh, golly, this is scary.
This is the portion of the show that we lovingly refer to as What Were They Thinking? The title of this week's scary story, Myrtle, I told you to read the dang thing before you put it in the desk drawer.
You know, maybe what we've got to do is change this. Instead of being what were they thinking, we need to change this to what was Myrtle thinking.
Exactly. Yeah.
Because we pick on Myrtle so much.
Well, but she's not always the one who causes the problem.
I tell you what, this is a true story with one of my clients who made a fatal, what I consider an almost fatal mistake that a lot of people make. And what I'm talking about, we've talked about it before, this is when you receive your renewal homeowners or business owners insurance policy.
Yes.
And, you know, I know that people are busy. They sit there, they open up the envelopes, they straighten it out, and they lay it down. And a lot of times, without an appropriate review, that insurance policy just gets thrown into the file or thrown into the desk drawer. We assume too much, okay? And as we've talked about a lot on this show, we're in a period of ever changing insurance policies, coverages, terms and provisions, limits, deductibles, and all that kind of thing on insurance policies, both for homeowners and business owners. Specifically, insurance companies are doing everything that they can possibly do to try to limit their exposure on older roofs. Okay? We've talked about a fact that most insurance companies look at your roof. If it's 10 years or older, that's going to be covered on a limited basis called an actual cash value basis, We have new policies that have now been introduced into the marketplace in Oklahoma in particular that have what is called a roof payment schedule on it. The insurance companies do not really disclose or present that to you as being non-recoverable depreciation, but essentially it works exactly the same way. Now, instead of an insurance company paying you replacement cost for your roof, they pay you the replacement cost less some factor based on the age and condition of your roof, which I call that depreciation.
Yeah, sure.
They don't call it that. They call it a roof payment schedule, less your deductible, and now you have this huge out-of-pocket. So Myrtle, in this case, stuck her insurance contract into the desk drawer, called us about 3 months later after a hailstorm with a loss.
Right.
Okay. Looked at her roof. Her roof was absolutely totaled, had been totaled previously, but she had not filed a claim. Okay. So now we're having to file a claim with the new date of loss.
Right.
Well, lo and behold, in that period of time, her coverage had gone from replacement cost coverage to one of these roof payment schedule coverages. Also included a number of exclusions on things like metal, the metal caps, the metal valleys, the metal flashings, and all that. Metal was excluded.
Oh, my.
Okay? So at the end of the day, what had happened to Myrtle in this particular case, she not only had a $3,500 deductible, she now had about $11,000 of depreciated value that was buried in that roof payment schedule. So now she's up to $14,500. And then she has about $2,000 worth of metal on her roof that the insurance company is no longer going to pay for.
Oh,
so
my.
Literally she went from 3 months earlier, had she filed this claim, she would have paid $3,500.
Right.
Now she's paying $16,500 out of her pocket. Okay.
Ouch.
Don't assume that your insurance coverage is exactly what it was last time around. Take the time to lay your old declarations page down right beside the new declarations page.
Good idea.
Thing you're going to see is obviously you're going to see your value has increased. The insurance company will have increased your value because that's what they base your premiums on. So that's getting them some more money.
Sure.
They may have increased your deductible. Remember that you have two deductibles. You have a standard perils deductible and you have a wind and hail deductible. The wind and hail deductible is probably multiples of what the standard perils deductible is. You want to make sure you know what your wind and hail deductible is. Look at that, compared one policy period to the next. You want to look at your ordinance or law coverage. Make sure that you have, if you had ordinance law, make sure it's still showing on your new policy.
And just for those of you who don't know what that covers code upgrades.
That's where we get our decking. That's where we get our drip edge. That's where we get our ice and water. That's where we get our chimney crickets and flashing details and things like that have to be in there to do it according to the building code. Okay? Ordinance or law is technically what that is called. Make sure you have that coverage, okay? Make sure they didn't drop that off. And then look and see what kind of exclusions they've put in there. What's in there now that looks new and different? That's where you'll see you may have a metal exclusion now. You may have a cosmetic exclusion now. There's some other things that get worked in there that if you don't take the time to study this, if you have a direct writing company, there's nobody to help you out because you bought that policy online. You're having to know this stuff yourself. If you bought a policy from an agent, then you can call your agent and have him go through with you and explain to you why all these things have changed. Is it possible for us to put it back like it was before we incur a loss?
Right.
In some cases, they'll say yes. Some companies will absolutely refuse. And some companies will let you go back and change back to your previous coverage for a little additional premium, but you've got to ask the questions.
Right.
So, Rick, I sent you an article the other day on what's going on in the state of Florida, I think.
Yeah.
Insurance companies are just, they're trying to bail right and left from the state of Florida. Basically, if you have a 10-year-old roof, they don't want to cover anything.
Right.
Okay. So the big questions coming up is, how are people going to be able to buy a house, provide the adequate and proper insurance for a mortgage company, because the mortgage companies aren't going to stand by for having a bunch of stuff that's uninsured, and then in the event that there's a loss that they're depending on the client, the person who owns the property to be able to pull the money out of their pocket to make it whole. I don't think the mortgage company's going to go for that. So anyway, be aware of what's going on in the marketplace. Decreasing coverages, increasing deductibles, and you need to ask questions.
Okay. And with that, we'll take our second and last break of the show. I want to remind everybody you're listening to Home Repair McRoof Style on the McRoof Radio Network. I'm Rick Allen Lippert. He's restoration specialist and Hall of Fame remodeler Scott McCullum. Retro Radio Randy is the wizard on the other side of the curtain, taking your calls to 405-656-5868. We'll be back in a flash. This is the McRoof Radio Network.
Hey, Rick, give me the phone numbers for the Generator Super Center of Oklahoma.
Okay, well, I have two of them. One is in Oklahoma City. That is 405-341-0341. And in Tulsa, 918-500-7173.
Folks, Generator Super Center of Oklahoma, these folks are the largest dealer of Generac generators. Rick, have you made that call yet?
No, I haven't.
Oh, my gosh. I'm embarrassed for you, Rick, that we keep having to talk about this.
Yeah, me too.
I really am. You're getting ready to go into storm season, and you're not going to have your generator yet.
No, you're right.
So,
I know.
Okay. Folks, make the call. Generator Super Center of Oklahoma. Storm season's coming. Winter still has a couple months to rage. You don't want to be in that situation of having the power outage and having to deal with all the consequences of that. You remember last year, Rick, we had folks that were without power for a couple of weeks. So that can be a really bad deal. So give them a call in Oklahoma City, 405-341-0341, or in Tulsa, 918-500-7173. Tell them Rick and Scott sent you.
Honoring America's Warriors is an Oklahoma City-based nonprofit that provides military honors and ceremonies, service dogs for disabled veterans, and multiple activities and events for the veteran and their family. When Honoring America's Warriors was established, our first sponsor and supporter was McRoof. Now, years later, McRoof and the McCullum family continue to provide financial support to Honoring America's Warriors' important programs. To learn more about our mission, go to honoringamericaswarriors.org. Go to honoringamericaswarriors.org today.
I'm Dustin Holtz, and I am McRoof. We're looking for the best talent in the roofing and restoration industries to join our team of solutions specialists. Hear what our customers have to say. Here's Johnny.
They were such pleasant young men, set my mind at ease. So thank you so much. I appreciate y'all.
Now here's John.
My hat's off to McRoof for making that happen when nobody else would touch it. You really made a difference in our lives.
And then Dean.
You really know your roofing business and you do quality work. But what sets you apart from other roofers is the people. You treated us just like family.
Want to sell shingles? Go work for another roofer. Want to change people's lives by providing quality solutions? Come join our team. Email me at dustin.holt@mcroof.us. dustin.holt@mcroof.us.
I'm Scotty McCollum, and I am McRoof. The qualities that every McRoof team member possesses are attention to detail, integrity, and a commitment to be an expert in our field. The goal of every McRoof project is to restore a home or business to the fullest extent, and in the process, we try to create a relationship as well as lasting peace of mind. We're not happy if you're not happy.
Replacement done right. McRoof.us, 855-766-3405. And Home Repair McRoof Style back on the air for the third half of the show. Just to let you know that we're live today, this is show number 199 on January the 8th.
Seems like a milestone upcoming.
Coming up soon. Hey, on this date in 1956, Elvis Presley's Don't Be Cruel and Hound Dog single topped number one and stayed number one for 11 weeks.
Wow.
Wow. And coincidentally, today would have been his 87th birthday. How about that? On this date in 1966, a big day for the Beatles. Their Rubber Soul album went number one and stayed number one for 6 weeks. From that album, the We Can Work It Out single went number one and stayed number one for 3 weeks. And then another would have been birthday today, David Bowie, would have been 75 years old.
I think I'm going to go home and have me some peanut butter.
There you go. and a banana sandwich.
Yes, sir.
I rode an elevator with David Bowie.
Oh, you did?
One time in Lexington, Kentucky. I was there to shoot a promotional video for a piece of equipment that his guitar player used, one of his guitar players used, a guy named Carlos Alomar. And we ended up staying in the same hotel that they were at the Holiday Inn in Lexington, Kentucky. It was a nice place. But we shut down the restaurant, so it's about 11 o'clock. And so it's come time for us to ride the elevator. The guy I'm working with and I and the guitar player go, and then David Bowie and Peter Frampton, who was on the Glass Spider tour with him, we all got in the elevator, and I got to say, I made David and Peter nervous.
You did?
Well, the two of us did, because here are two strangers in this elevator, and boy, they couldn't get any farther into that corner.
Really?
They looked at us, and they just looked at Carlos and what the hell, man? Why'd you bring these strangers in here?
Oh, wow.
So we just said hello and took a step back. And anyway, that's my brush with greatness.
So I want to kind of go back to the break. We had a spot on there with some of our customers,
right?
And John was on there.
Yes.
And John was kind of talking about how, hats off to McRoof for taking on something that nobody else would touch and really, changing their lives.
Well,
I mean, they literally bailed water every time a cloud came by.
Well,
for years.
It wasn't quite that bad with me, but that's how we got together. You and I got together.
So I'm looking
no
back,
one else would touch my roof.
I guess, John, here's from 11/29. So that's right at Thanksgiving.
Right.
Okay. So I guess John was just feeling thankful and reminiscing and
nice.
picked up the phone and left me another voicemail that we could actually
nice.
turn into another spot over a year later, just saying, man, just wanted to tell you again how you changed our lives,
That's great.
That's what it's all about for us. We don't necessarily have that kind of impact in everyone's lives,
right?
But we would sure like to. So
yeah.
Anyway, what's this deal about garden hoses?
Okay, so my wife and I were out walking several days ago, and I'm here to tell you it was cold. It was really cold.
Yeah.
And we're walking around the block, and one of our neighbors, pretty close, had a couple of newspapers in the driveway. My wife is just one of those who will pick up the papers and
go put them on the porch.
Go put them on the porch.
Yep.
And she did, and she called me in from out on the street and says, "Rick, come here. You got to see this." And I went up, and his garden hose on the front of the house was still connected.
Right. It's got ice formed all around it.
Big icicle coming out of the nozzle of the hose. And so I tried to undo that. I couldn't. I could not get it.
Right.
So when we were out walking this morning, we went by and looked at it. There wasn't any water coming in, and they're out of town. They're still out of town. So I don't.
Just tomorrow when you go for your walk, put your channel locks in your back pocket.
Good
and
idea.
Go over there and take the hose loose for them.
And probably ought to go around back and undo all of them.
And then while you're doing it, just go into every neighbor's yard and make sure they don't have their...
Just make sure I wear a hoodie.
911, what's your emergency?
Well, listeners, I owe you all an apology for not mentioning garden hoses last Saturday.
Oh, my gosh.
I got home and I thought, oh my goodness, with this weather coming in, we should have told everybody to make sure you undo your garden hoses. Keep, your faucets dripping if they're on a north wall. Open the cabinets.
And there's things that, it's kind of like My dad's, again, the most uncommon things in the world, common sense and common courtesy. We just assume that everybody knows these things.
Right.
But, quite honestly, particularly with a lot of our seniors, they may not be able to get out in the cold.
Exactly.
And even if they can, like you said, you couldn't disconnect that
Right.
hose.
Right.
Call someone, get a neighbor to come over, somebody to come over and get those garden hoses. I noticed even here on the driveway at the office complex that my neighbor across the street, his garden hose was, so we went over and disconnected
Good for
his,
you.
from the hose bib. So yeah, just the simple things. Disconnect the hose bibs and, open the cabinet doors and drip the faucets, particularly on the north walls,
Right.
anything that's on that north wall. And you're probably going to be in pretty good shape,
Well,
so.
at least we have more temperate weather on the forecast for this week.
Yeah, it's not going to be what I would call balmy,
No.
but it's going to be yeah.
But after
it's going to be tolerable.
After the week we've had, it's almost shorts and flip-flop weather
Well,
out there.
yeah, it's so funny because what was it? Just what probably been less than 2 weeks ago. People were walking the streets of downtown Edmond in shorts and flip-flops.
Right, exactly.
I mean,
yeah.
literally.
Yes.
Was that maybe the day after Thanksgiving? I'm
Christmas, day after Christmas?
Day after Christmas.
It was a
okay.
gorgeous
Okay.
day.
Yeah.
Gorgeous day
Yeah.
after
Yeah.
Christmas.
So anyway, it's amazing.
In fact, that day was so pretty. That's the day I got up on my roof and cleared all the leaves off.
Oh, there you go.
Because it was
There
just
you go.
so
There you
blasted
go.
nice out there.
So what else been going on with you? I mean, there's got to be more going on down there than just putting in a row of chairs.
They're
What's Ben working on?
Well, he and his guys have been putting in the cabinets in the concession, the bar concession area, and doing little projects. He's also working on a set for a play at OU. So
okay.
He builds sets for a lot of other theater companies and a lot of churches. And Easter is right around the corner, so he'll be really busy building a lot of things for Easter.
Well, that's neat.
And that's what he really
well,
uses.
Did you happen to walk out in my warehouse?
No, I haven't.
Oh my gosh, Alan and Jeremy have been out there off and on for the last week or two, and you wouldn't recognize the place.
Oh my.
So I mean, we have cleaned up and gotten rid and organized. We've got a lot of material coming in for some commercial projects. And so they've got that warehouse set up where they can get the forklift in there and maneuver and get everything up. We can stack basically 3 pallets high in our warehouse with the insulation board and things like that.
Good.
So we've got a lot of room out there, and this time next week you'll look at it, and right now you can walk out there and see how nice everything looks. This time next week you'll walk out there and you'll literally be having to walk through rows between the material because there won't be any room left out there.
How fun.
So, yeah, we got to get the old car out of there. We got to completely empty that out. Well, that's going to the shop, getting ready for our consumer shows that'll be coming up. We've got one in Wichita here in a couple of weeks. Got one in Tulsa in March, and then another one in Oklahoma City in March. So we're getting ready to gear up for that. We have kicked off Roof RX formally in terms of website up and functioning. People are making inspection requests, making repair requests through the website.
Good.
It's not exactly the way I want it to be, but it's there. I've worked a lot on the content for the maintenance plans and things like that. That Dustin and I'll be finishing up and polishing up and posting on the website. So we're getting there. We're really excited. We've got a new opportunity that's come our way. A couple new opportunities coming our way in both the solar world and in terms of what we can do with skylights and things like that.
Good.
So those are going to be things that are going to live in the Roof RX world.
Okay.
There is the possibility that there's some back and forth between a McRoof project where we need those products as opposed to a standalone item that it will be in the Roof RX world.
Okay.
So we're getting there, really getting there. Been a lot of fun. We got a lot of new people in here. We've had to postpone our quote-unquote annual kickoff meeting because we had COVID raging.
Right.
So wait till everybody gets clear tests and we know we can safely get back together again, and then I'll reschedule with you to do the video and the biographies on our folks. So.
All right. Hey, Randy, let's get stormy. Now, that's a sound we hopefully won't hear for at least a few more weeks. But after the storm, what should people be looking at?
Well, you know, we've talked about this, and this is the time where if you've ever had anything that has occurred from last spring storm season through the summer rains and into the fall storm season that we had, and we had a fairly active fall storm season, if there's any kinds of drips or drabs, any signs of water on your ceilings anywhere around your house, and you haven't done anything about those, you just kind of looked at it and said, that's interesting.
Right.
Well, now's the time to really get to it, particularly this next week while we could probably get on some roofs. Now's the time to get up there, have someone get up there and really figure out what's going on. And if you need a pipe boot replaced, if you need a flashing detail taken care of, if you've got an issue in a valley that's letting water get in a valley, if you've got those seemingly constant problems with a chimney that's dripping on your ceiling, those kinds of things, we take care of all of that. And take care of that in a way that it's done correctly. We own it. We're responsible for it. And if you ever have an issue again, all you got to do is call us. We'll take care of it. And beyond that, in the Roof RX world, at the point in time where we tell you that now you actually need to file an insurance claim and replace your roof, then you're going to receive a credit back for a portion of the money that you've paid through the years for repairs to Roof RX.
Such a deal.
To apply to your new McRoof. So
that's wonderful.
Yeah, I think it's being very well received. Very well received. So anyway, so we need to do those inspections, walk around, make sure that you don't have any missing or torn shingles. Look at the ridge in particular because those are the most susceptible to the wind damage. If you got any leaking pipes, that's that little spot somewhere around a bathroom or kitchen, utility room, something like that, or underneath a furnace or a water heater. Those are notorious as well. Check the chimney flashings, make sure everything looks like it's in good shape. And if you have any questions, just email us. Email for consumer information or email to ask a question, consumertips@mcroof.us. Carly will answer that email. She's great at consulting with you over the telephone. She can get you to send us a picture or two of whatever it is you're looking at, what you think your concern or issue is. We can usually figure those things out, be able to come out there, be prepared to take care of the evaluation and the repair, one stop, one trip, and you can pay online, you can take care of it and be done with it.
And when you say Carly, you're talking about number one daughter, Carly McCullum.
Well, I guess she's number one daughter, the only one I know that I have.
Well,
so.
yeah,
Yeah, talking about my daughter, Carly McCollum, and she is, I tell you folks, I have the pleasure from time to time of just kind of standing outside her office door. She doesn't know I'm there, just listening to her on the phone with clients.
Yeah.
She is incredible on the phone with clients.
Well, I'm impressed with her, and I've known her since she was in high school, so I'm really impressed with her.
Yeah.
So anyway, as we're about to wrap up, I want to remind everybody that we'll be back next week with show number 200. And do us all a favor and get vaccinated. This pandemic will be over a whole lot faster if we will all just, like polio and smallpox. We vaccinated ourselves into health.
There you go.
All right, Dad's Wisdom.
Okay, and if anybody is hanging on out there, if you will call me next week and tell me what this Dad's Wisdom means, we'll make you a trivia winner as well. So here it is. 1 boy is a boy. 2 boys is half a boy, and 3 boys is no boy at all. One of my all-time favorites.
Yeah, it's a good one. Home Repair McRoof style on the McRoof Radio Network. We will be back next week. He's Restoration Specialist and Hall of Fame remodeler Scott McCullum. I'm Rick Allen Lippert. We thank you for listening to us today. We'll be back next week.
Have a great week.